Welcome to another edition of On the Table. My guest today is media personality, author, artist, and motivational speaker Antonio the Yellow Dove Mwanamuke. And we'll be talking about so much, such as his battle with mental illness, as well as his inability to read at the age of 12. But first off, we're going to kick off with some music from our guest, Antonio the Yellow Dove Mwanamuke, with a song that many would say brought him into the industry, and it's What Would Jesus Do?
I had a dream one day that Jesus Christ came to Zambia as a tourist, and it left my mind in a little bitty twist. Had to pick him up from the airport. The dream said to carry he should never abort. That's the first thing he said to me. So I introduced myself as the Yellow Dove. I told him I was gonna be his tour guide. He'll be glorified, yeah, we gonna ride. But the industry doesn't pay much, so I never had any money for a cab. Told him let's walk, we began to talk. Told him about the colors on the national flag. Had to leave my pants so he doesn't know that I sat. Before I knew it was lunchtime. I didn't even know his favorite dish, so I just got him bread and fish. Then we went down to my room at Unza. Started asking me why we always throw stones at cars. Before I could give a reply, I woke up just in the blink of an eye. I was shivering. What if Jesus really came? Kept wondering, would I have the guts to even introduce him to my girl? Say,
what would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do?
I would take him to Maziopa compound, shelter for everyone would be found. Then I would take him to Chachacha Road, and at night he would warm those who sleep in the cold. He would also feed the street children. With him by the side there'll be no problem. The streets wouldn't be their residence. Flash buses wouldn't cause accidents. Investors wouldn't keep a distance. He would also increase our life expectancy. If Jesus visited the land of Zambia, he would make it a better place. He would put a smile on the face of a child. He would make sure she never gets defiled. He would help us youths always abstain. Working hard at school we would maintain. And I would ask him to provide me stunners that would make sure he supports the gunners. Would he walk on Zambezi River, visit TBN and then pull a diva? Then I would take him to Leopards Hill to resurrect all those who are missing still. I would ask him to resurrect Uncle Mishek. I miss him and I wish he was here.
What would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do?
43 years now, what a beautiful journey. First book, I would make him really show me the money. He would make sure he provides employment. What would he think about Chinese investment? And I would ask him to bless our ladies. Ask him why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting babies. Ask him to reveal the right person we should vote for in the next election. Bless the DJ for making this selection. But would he shake hands with Neighbors Mumba? Would he dance to gospel rumba? I bet he would wash all of our sin. At the same time he would keep Zambia clean. What would he do? I really wonder. Would he even board the Nali Kwanda? Heal all those with HIV. He would change a lot of things if he heard you say,
what would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do? What would Jesus do if he came to Zambia? What would Jesus do?
Welcome back to not only the show, but back into 2017, because that particular song was released 12 years ago. It clocks 12 years this year, and the song was done by my guest today. Now, he's a motivational speaker, he is a musical artist, he's a media personality, and he's also an author. And his stage name is not the white dove or the black dove or the gray dove, the blue dove, the beige dove, but instead he is the yellow dove. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
So your government name, of course, is Antonio Manamuke, as most people know you, yeah? But let's start with the name, the Yellow Dove. Like, where did you choose that name? Is it you love the color yellow? You love birds?
Yeah. I think for me, it's always been about thinking outside the box and being unique.
Yeah.
So at a tender age, I was just thinking to myself, why don't I, if you read the book, you understand the genesis of the name came from Uncle Mishek, who I talk about in the song, that inspired me, and I wish that God would resurrect him. So it was his stage name, because he just started out rapping. And then at the time when, he's getting into the thick of things, that's when he passed on. So I felt like I needed to take up the mantle and begin to motivate youths through lyrics and poetry and media and the arts and all. So I took up the name. But in as far as the meaning goes, for me, it's about thinking outside the box. Everybody expects you to be white dove or black dove, like you say. But yellow comes in because I want to be that shining light, that person that comes in to give a message of hope in whatever field that you get to do. So when you hear me on radio, on my radio shows, when you see me on my TV shows, or read my book, or see my post on Facebook, it's all about giving hope to people, and that's what I stand for.
All right. So you did mention that the song, the name came from your uncle, Uncle Mishek, who you've spoken about in the song as well. And you also have young artists who are grooming, if I may say, Young Dove. Did you give him that name, or he chose it as well? Did he just choose to pick it up as well, or you just gave it to him as well?
Well, there are a lot of other youngsters that I'm grooming. They choose their own names.
Okay, so he chose it himself.
They choose their own names. And for me, it's about impacting this generation that is coming up that has got huge talent, man. I know some people say that we have a lot of Facebook rappers and Facebook celebrities, but these youngsters have got talent, man. Just the other day, I was listening to some kid rapper by the name of Natasha, and I couldn't help but be amazed. I was like, come here, let me sign you, So it's about grooming the next generation to make sure that they're talking to kids about positive stuff through music and arts.
All right. So another thing that you're training for at the moment is your documentary, your testimony, and people are talking about it. They are inspired by it. So we're going to talk about that on today's show. So let's have a look at it, and then we'll be talking about it in bits, and you explain to us what you're talking about at each phase of the story. Have a look at this.
Hello, my name is Antonio Mwanamuke, also known as the Yellow Dove. I really am grateful for how God has been good to me. I've seen scripture come alive. I love how in the book of John 1 it says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word, became flesh and lived among us, if you read through the whole passage. In other versions it says that, and the Word moved into our neighborhood. I love that because it's in its literal sense. You see the word come alive and living in your neighborhood, and that's what God did over the past years in my life. Because I remember when I was 12 years old, I was the only one in my class that could not read, and I was the only one in my class that kept missing lessons because I used to battle with asthma a lot. Like, pretty much breathing was like a huge miracle for me as a boy.
All right, so from seeing, one of the things you spoke about was your inability to read at the age of 12. Your friends were able to read, and you kind of felt left out. When you say you couldn't read, does this mean you couldn't read at all, or you just had difficulties reading things?
I couldn't read at all.
At all, like you can't read a single word.
I had issues, man. And it's that kind of a thing where you are relaxed about it. The first school I was at, pretty much most of my friends were not into books, so it was playtime all the time. And then when I moved I was in Makeni, then I shifted to my parents' place in Chilenja and started going to Arthur Wiener Basic School. So you're in this class where everybody's interested in school, and they want to read, they are way ahead of the teacher and whatnot. And then you can't read. You know, we used to read.
Sorry, what grade was this, by the way?
I was in grade 6 going to grade 7.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, English class, you're reading all these stories. The first person reads the first paragraph, then the other paragraph is done by the other person. Then it's your turn, and you're just looking at the page, and you're blank, like literally, you do not know what these words are. And it was a bad phase for me as a kid, because it messed up my self-esteem, first of all, because you are the single person they always jump when it comes to reading. You know, so it messed me up so much so that I hated school. I hated myself. I thought I'm not worth anything as a young person. And so you can imagine even the laughter that you know was composed in class.
Exactly. Yeah, to turn friends like
yeah. So with all that, it sort of gave me an introspective look at life, and you go back home and you see some of the challenges that your parents sort of go through, that you're going through in class, but then they have so much joy. Like, despite financial problems or whatever problems that might be at home, they have so much joy. And then you're saying it's more peaceful at home than at school. But even if they have pressure at home, you see them in a calm situation and life is good and they're happy. And you start thinking, what do they have that I need to have when I go to school, so that I'm not too frustrated, you know? And one time I heard my dad talk about the joy that he found in Christ, and how Christ was able to help him through everything, including studies, when at a young age. And I started flirting with that idea to say, maybe if I really surrender all these things I'm going through, even at a young age, to God, and say, I need help with reading, maybe he could help me. You know, so it was from that drive that escalated to other things, among them being asthma. You know, asthma made me even miss class even more. So even the time when you're supposed to learn the little you can in school, you're missing because of illness. That drove me even closer to God, to say, you know what, this thing can kill me. Because at a young age, you're failing to breathe. Pretty much the whole night you're awake because you can't breathe.
Can't breathe.
And of course, medicine would be ingested in you, but you keep on having that problem. And so, to be honest with you, the issue of reading ended the moment I gave my life to Christ. Whether it's a coincidence or not, but I knelt down, I asked God for two things: heal me of asthma, teach me how to read, and come into my heart. You know,
that's three things.
Yeah. You know, because for me it was, school is hell. Home is hell at night. I can't breathe. There has to be a greater power out there to help me, because it was too much for me as a young person.
Did you ever have suicidal thoughts at that point?
No,
Nothing,
because you're just thinking this thing could be sorted out, and it can only be sorted out by God.
And it's interesting that you mentioned God helped you with all this, because from the same documentary you do mention that you taught yourself how to read by reading the Bible. Now, a lot of people might be asking, how did you teach yourself how to read? Because then you see somebody who doesn't know how to read. It's there, and you're like, this is probably that. You're telling yourself, this is that. But how did you teach yourself how to read?
The process really started with the can-do mentality, first of all. So I'm in church. I remember it was at Libala Main School High. That's Revival Missions Ministries. We're seated right in front with Mom, and she's praying, and I'm there just saying, God, I need to learn how to read. That's a Sunday, and then on Friday you're being laughed at. So I get her Bible, and I get to John 3, and I start attempting to read the passage. And she's busy praying, and you're there asking, what's this word? And you know, she's telling me, this is there. What's this? John the Baptist. What's this? For God so loved the world, you know. So you're just going through, you get home, you go through that passage, and before you know it, words start making sense, and you start understanding that it's the vowels that you're missing. It's the understanding of how words connect that you're missing. It's also just your thought process of saying, you can do this, that was missing. Because when everybody's laughing at you, and you're the only person who can do it, you won't even attempt to do it. You'll be just, bazanseka. You know what I mean? But what really helped for me was the mental process of saying, I'm now born again. God lives in me. Dad told me if God lives in you, you can't be down. You're intelligent. So that self-discipline, that self-motivation is what helped for me a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, you get guidance from uncles, aunties, and family members. And I learned how to read. But because I learned really late in my class setup, I mean, you're going into grade 7, preparing for exams, you don't know how to read. So that sort of made me famous in school because you've learned how to read and you're so into it that you're reading everything ahead of your class. You're so thirsty for knowledge, you know. So that time I shifted from being the lowest to being the highest the whole school. So they put the list on the placards and on the notice board, and you literally shift to being the highest.
0 to 100 real quick.
And then everyone is just turning back and you're sitting at the back and like, Antonio?
I think he spelled his name wrong. I think
Short guy.
Yeah.
You know, and you begin to answer questions, you begin to know more than your friends, and not only that, but you know more than your friends literally about life, about the Word of God. Because when I learned how to read, I started reading vastly now. I started using my mind and I think that's why the devil attacked my mind a lot, because he saw that this boy loves to think beyond what he's supposed to think of in his stage. And that gave me a chance to tell them what really happened.
So you said this was in grade 6 when you had the inability to read. So which means how did you manage to pass through all these other grades, like grade 1, 2, 3, 4? How did you go to 6 without being able to?
God's grace, man.
Okay.
God's grace. I also don't understand, but it's God's grace, because immediately I learned in grade 7, things just started to make sense. And also it was that thing where you put studies and books ahead of everything, no playtime anymore. So I think it was a really fast pace miracle for me.
Yeah. All right, so you've spoken a lot about giving your life to God. So let's just take a look at another part of the documentary where you officially gave your life to God and what really transpired. Then we'll talk more about that.
At the age of 12, with all these complications, I decided to hand them over to God. I remember one night I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was literally going to die. And medicine was something that would be ingested in me, but the following day I would be worse. And I just said, let me turn to God and see how everything went forward. And immediately I surrendered my life to God at 12 years old with a Kirk Franklin song playing in the background, My Life is in Your Hands. God instantly touched me, made me breathe well. Weeks passed and I was able to instantly start learning how to read. I learned how to read using the Bible. While all my friends knew everything, I began to teach myself. And there was that instant change the whole year when I was 12 years old, and I saw God change me as a young person, and I began to minister to people. Along the line, God called me into ministry. I was able to excel in my studies. I graduated with excellent results in my grade 12. I went to the university. Along the way, God called me to ministry in radio, in TV, in broadcast, if I would put it that way, and music.
So from this clip, you did mention that when you're battling with asthma, and you actually said it would be a miracle if you could actually breathe. So after did it take you almost reaching a death point? Because you also mentioned that you almost reached a point where you felt like I'm about to die. So did it take you reaching a point of death that you just give your life to God now?
Yes, it did. There were a lot of thoughts battling in my mind, and obviously you're young, you've seen horror movies, you know what death is, and you know, you reach a point where you're saying, will I get to the next day? This breathing is intense today, because obviously every day you have that problem, but then you're just thinking, this could be the end for me. Maybe let me just give my life to God. And then other thoughts are telling you, you're too young, just leave this stuff alone. But then you're thinking, I've heard people say if you don't give your life to God, you're going to hell. You know, so a lot of thoughts were going through my mind. But when I invited Jesus in my heart, I was at peace.
All right. So ever since you changed your life, ever since you gave it to God, He healed you from the asthma. Did you ever feel like Okay, now you told me I can go back to the old ways now. Did you ever feel like that in your life? Like,
It,
ever feel like going back?
I felt like that every day, but it was hard looking at the way, because it's like your life is this way, then you give it to somebody and it becomes this way. So it was really hard to do that because the transformation was too huge. I felt like I owe God my praise, and I remember at 12 years old, I promised God that whatever I would do in future with whatever talent He reveals to me, I'll give it back to Him.
All right. We're having an interesting discussion here with Antonio Mwanamuke, aka the Yellow Dove, and we still have a lot more to talk about, but my director keeps telling me we have to go for a break. So we're going to go for a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more. We're going to talk about him opening up about his mental illness, because it's something that some people knew about, but they were shocked when he actually opened about it. And also talk about gospel artists, the limitations they have as well. Does he plan on working with a secular artist? We'll find out right after this. Welcome back. You're still watching On the Table right here on Diamond TV. Keep interacting with us on our social media platforms that are showing at the bottom of your screens. And just before the break, I was with Antonio Mwanamuke, and he's still with me. He's my guest today. We'll be talking about his recently released documentary or testimonial, whatever you want to call it. And he'll be explaining to us what he was trying to refer to and interpret what each phase of that documentary was trying to talk about. So just before the break, we spoke about you giving your life to God, and we showed the documentary clip where you said the time you're giving your life to God, Kirk Franklin's song was playing in the background. Every time you listen to that song now, would you say that's like your favorite song of all time? Because just the
Yeah.
nostalgia that it brings with just listening to the song.
Yeah, because remember at that point, all those questions are coming in your mind as a young person. And then the moment you phase out the questions, there's a song playing saying, your life should be in God's hands. So it's more like the answer to the questions
Yeah.
to say, hey,
Yeah.
you're young,
Yeah.
you've got all these issues, just give your life to God.
So did you play it yourself or somebody was playing
it was playing on radio.
Oh, so it was like
Yeah.
like somebody knew out there,
Yeah,
like okay,
like a
Antonio
DJ.
somewhere out there is about to give his life to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a theme song right there.
All right. So now moving on to the mental illness. Let's quickly play this clip and then we'll talk more about that.
Just when my first album came out, I had another attack. I was diagnosed with mental illness, and it was really bad to the point that I was deregistered from the University of Zambia. And it was at the time when, God started opening up doors with the song What Would Jesus Do If He Came to Zambia? Doors started opening up in Nigeria, in South Africa. People wanted to manage me. It was promised to inject a lot of money into the project that would see Africa rise to the hope of gospel hip-hop music and radio in a way that it has never seen before. And due to the illness that spanned over a year and a half, possible sponsors that came in to help me out started seeing my behavior, and they started pulling out of the deals that we made. It became a very dark year for me, because here you are about to realize all your dreams, but everything dies out. People that are supposed to help you out pull out because of your behavior, and they're saying it's probably on drugs, it's probably this and that.
Okay, so during this point of your mental illness, do you ever remember? Was it a situation where you can remember what you're doing, or what you're doing? What kind of mental illness was this? Is it that you know what you're doing but you just can't control it, or you do something then you'll be told like you're undressing in public? What was it really like?
It was both.
It was both.
Yeah, what you've mentioned, it was both. But the bigger part of it, I was only able to remember most of the things when I got healed, because it affects your mental ability to store the happenings of that particular year, because it spanned out for a very long time. So when I was well, flashes started coming through my mind of every little thing that happened. But during the period, people just said, you're on you're on TV, XA, you dissed so and so and so. You did a freestyle. That was a hot freestyle, man. And why did you do that to a gospel artist? What did I do? You said this and this and this, but that was dope, you're right. You know, and some of the people who would tell you things are people who are not really, really straight, who would not tell you, say, dude, there's something wrong with you. So you're just thinking, I'm hype, I'm happening, I'm freestyling finally, but everything you're doing is wrong and doesn't give glory to God. I mean, I would go on a TV show, walk into a recording, and go and sit on the chair of the presenter, and it's a live TV show. And while they're trying to get me out of the chair, I'm removing a remote and saying, I'm gonna switch you off, and everyone is just laughing like, what is wrong with this guy? You know, so there were a lot of embarrassing things. I mean, you go to a radio station, well, a Christian radio station, and they, you know, there's a certain way they behave there. You go there, you start running up and down, disturbing officers, disturbing everybody that is there, and singing songs at the top of your voice. You know, there are a lot of embarrassing things, and some of them were really damaging to my name. I was by Findeco House once, and I wanted to jump off the window. You know, so you're on the 16th floor, and you literally want to jump, and you think there's nothing wrong with that, and you'll be okay. And at the point I just want to jump out, Crisis and KB walk onto that floor from the elevator and like, yo, it's Antonio, you know, and they have no idea what is happening. So you start talking to them and they're disturbed, you start going around with them. But when you think back, you're like, wow, I could have jumped. You are in the bus, you know, you want to get out of the bus. You think nothing will happen. So a lot of decisions that I made during that time that were harmful to me, but I did not know what I was doing, and I could not control what it is that I was doing. But what's fascinating is, even while, you know, you're not able to make your own decisions, God is able to protect you. Another incident that you know, I really look back and laugh at is, I was by Arkan Barracks, and in my mind, I wanted to go to State House and tell the president that I'm the rightful president. I've convinced myself that I am going to see him, and what I'm doing is okay.
Like, hey, Mr.
And
President.
I start heading there. Start heading there. I'm so serious that when I am just about to cross the road and approach the guards, and you know what happens when you approach those guards and they're telling you to stop, you're not stopping. They gun you down. You know, I'm just about to cross. My mom calls me and says, hey, where are you? You need to be home. Immediately she says that, my mind switches and I start heading back home. That's God protecting me. I'm not in control of my life. I'm not in control of my decisions, but He's there to help me out and to protect me. So, you know, a lot happened because it was a year plus.
Yeah, and speaking of a lot happening, one of the things that also happened was you lost out on so many things. You spoke about, you know, some deals that just went down because the mental illness. People didn't want to get on board with somebody who's mentally ill. How did you feel, like, post everything, all these things going down? How did that make you feel? Did you feel depressed even more, perhaps?
Yeah, it was very depressing, man. I mean, it was 2010. The World Cup was just in essay. So you have a lot of people flocking in and out. It's an open market. You know, somebody heard my song at arcades when I was performing the What Would Jesus Do If You Came to Zambia. That's one of the times it also sort of made some noise of some sort. So somebody's approaching you saying, hey, there's this deal, we love your song, hey, we want you to help us with this, want to use your name. Because then there wasn't so much of gospel hip-hop, you know. So doors are opening up, but they're opening up at the time when you're sick mentally. So you're accepting the deals, and you're supposed to meet the managers again to just sign somewhere or, you know, agree on the terms and conditions. You're in a meeting with this guy, and he's come all the way from SA just for you, for that meeting. You're sitting like this. And because you're out of your mind, you start jumping up and down, you start screaming, you know, you start acting in a way that doesn't make sense. And he just tells the guys he's with to say, I don't think this will work because, you know, I came for this guy and look at the way he's behaving, he's probably on drugs. And this is a person who's got Christian values also, and they're just thinking there's no way I can put my money in this. And so I lost out a lot, man, but also it's not just the deals. For me, what really hurt me is also the friends that I lost, because during that time I would even receive texts from friends that would tell me, we don't want to ever work with you. You know, associates that we used to work with in music.
Yeah.
These are Christian brothers that used to pray with in school, and they're telling you, we don't want to work with you anymore because we heard you did this and this and this.
Yeah, yeah.
So you get well and you're like, I wish he knew I was sick,
Yeah.
that I needed him more at that point. So for me, what I lost more was that.
Are you friends with those guys now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, dude, hope you won't leave me this time
Squash the
around.
beef, man.
Yeah.
Squash the beef, because I mean, for me, it's about God. I mean, those people come now to say, I want to be on your show.
Exactly, you did mention that because you know,
Yeah.
people actually came back to you asking for jobs and whatnot. But another thing that you lost out on was your education. You're unregistered from University
Yeah.
of Zambia.
Yeah.
But then you graduated. Just tell us about that. Like,
Yeah.
you got back again. You re-registered or what?
Yeah, you know, so you're in school, because the whole thing happened when I was at University of Zambia. I was in my 3rd year. You're doing a presentation and you are acting all crazy in front of the lecturer, you know.
Mhm.
And you know, everyone just keeps saying there's something wrong with this guy. I mean, you are going into a lecture room and you're supposed to greet your lecturer in a certain you know, a certain way, and you're like, what's up?
Sorry, I'm late, but hope you're good.
You know, so there are a lot of crazy, weird things that happened in university, and I was in and out because of the episodes. You find you're in hospital for a week, you're back again for 2 weeks. So I missed a lot of tests, a lot of exams, and I was under a sponsorship. So because there's so many stories, you know, it's drugs, and the moment you're on sponsorship, you're missing class because of drugs, you're out, you know. So you miss certain number of classes, you're out, and that's what happened to me. So I was deregistered, and so yeah, no school for you. Music is not doing so well because your promoters and everybody else has backed out. DJs didn't want to chill with me anymore because I was acting crazy, and nobody had a clue that I was sick.
Okay.
You know, so it was bad. A year of being sick, a year and a half, and then after trying all the medicine that one could try, Chinese, you know, conventional stuff, prayers, you know, it was really bad. I tried everything, and then one day God just miraculously healed me.
Yeah.
I woke up, started asking where I was, who I was. I didn't even know what year it was. What year is this? Like 2011. 2011.
How did you get here?
How did we get here? Last time we were talking about the World Cup.
I know, right? Yeah.
No, you were sick. This
Yeah.
is what happened. This is what happened. And you know, a day after everything just came back, I started calling people. Hey, K-Smash, I'm sorry for the stuff I said. I wasn't okay. Hey, Roberto, sorry for wanting to beat you up. I was not okay.
But
so-
you're cool with these guys now.
Yeah, man, they
Yeah,
understand. I mean,
uncle now,
Roberto
yeah.
was even telling me at that point that he already knew what was the problem.
Oh, okay.
Asians, I don't know if you know Asians.
I know
she-
Asians, yeah.
Yeah, we were in the same class, so she
Oh, yeah.
knew that, you know,
Oh,
things
okay.
were like that. Even when I was in the hospital, some of them would come and see me, so they were
Yeah.
aware.
Okay.
And yeah, so everything comes flashing back. You're aware of the friends that dissed you. You're aware of the things you've lost. And I went through depression.
Yeah.
And it can only be God that can heal you from mental illness, can teach you how to read, can heal you out of depression. Because for me, it was the end, man. Like some people just, after they saw me, because all this was public for a lot of people. The taking of clothes,
Yeah.
the insulting people by Findeco House,
Calling
on
girls and
radio,
people in horn and
yeah,
whatnot.
it was
Yeah.
so public, such that when you go out there, people approach you and they're like, you're okay.
Yeah.
Mulunga kukonda. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I was so gone, man.
Yeah.
People are just like, kwasila.
All right, so as we wrap this interview home, just to divert away from the documentary, you did mention people like Roberto and K-Smash. These are people who are affiliated with the secular industry, if I can say so. And we've noticed one thing, is a bit of seclusion and just limitations that gospel artists have today. What's your take on that? Should gospel artists have certain limitations in the things that they do, especially being in public? One of them being hanging around with secular artists. Do you think it's okay for gospel artists to be around secular artists in cars with them, chilling somewhere with them?
Yeah, I love how you put it. First of all, I mean, secular artists are people, you know,
Yeah.
people just like you and me. I mean, they go through stuff. They are broke sometimes. They have money sometimes. They have emotions, you know. They're just normal people. So, is it okay to hang out with normal people?
Yeah.
I think it's okay, man.
It's okay, yeah.
You can hang out. I mean, in all spheres in life, not just music. It depends what you're tapping off from the person. If it's creativity, if it's good ideas, it's business ideas, whatever is progressive in life, there's nothing wrong.
Mhm.
And apart from that, I mean, we're human beings. We're Zambians at the end of the day. I mean, I've chilled with people who are even of different religion, and they're just talking about stuff.
Yeah.
So I just think this business should be like this because it's gonna work out. No, I think it's gonna be like this. It doesn't have to be about you can't tell me anything, you know, of a different religion. No, we are people at the end of the day. And what you believe in and what I believe in should not separate us. In fact, it should bring us together to say, how can we move forward? How can we be better people? How can we serve the nation? How can we, you know, do things? So hanging out is okay. But when it comes to music now, combining ideas and talents, that's where you need to sit down to say, how will this build your careers? How will this help
Yeah.
your careers? If
Yeah.
it's not helping, it's not benefiting, then there's no point.
So, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that. My last question for you. Abel Chungu just announced that he would love to collaborate. He was actually in studio with Chef 187, and this is somebody from, you know, the gospel arena collaborating with somebody from the secular arena. Can we expect a little something like that from the Yellow Dove, maybe collaborating with a secular artist?
The thing is, in life you need to understand your purpose. Like, what are you called to do? For him, maybe that's what he's called to do. You know, so I won't question that. But for me, I feel my focus now is more on bringing up the next generation, the young kids, shaping people who are 16, 15 years old. They can rap, they can sing, they can do stuff. You know, there isn't so much being done for them. So for me, that's really my focus. But you know, I wouldn't start saying that's a sin. You shouldn't do that, because as far as I know, relationship with God is not so much about rules. It's so much about what the Holy Spirit has convicted you to do. What's your purpose? I mean, we saw that collabo with Kirk and Kanye. I mean, Kirk has been collaborating with these guys since the days of the time he did a song with R. Kelly. So it depends what your calling is. And for me, it's building the next generation.
All right.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you, the Yellow Dove. Thank you for coming through. Remember, the show still goes on. Keep on interacting with us on our social media platforms that are at the bottom of your screens. Now, we did mention Chef 187 earlier on. We're going to go into a musical break, and this is music coming through from Chef 187 himself, and this one is titled Insansa Niwe Mwine. We'll be right back.